Hello, good morning, namaste, and aloha. Welcome to our Back to School with Grace webinar. Russ and I are so excited to have you with us to be able to answer your questions and just to share our heart with you, share some tips and tools that you can use to make your life more harmonious, to make going back to school a more graceful event. So with that, it is so essential. I've worked in several schools, several school districts, and I can tell you that's one of the biggest, that's your biggest friend, right? Your teacher, your child's teacher spends probably as much time, intensive time with your child as you do. They're in a classroom for all those hours per day where your child is, you're trusting this person to keep your child safe, to teach your child, to love your child. So you want to have that communication with them. You want to let them know, and there's a caveat here, but let them know what they need to know to help your child. Sometimes when we overshare, it becomes a problem because they look for things and find things that are not even an issue. But because you said this might be the case, then
Yeah.
it becomes something, right? So you don't want to create that. And I'll tell you, I've worked with many parents where they've asked me, should I tell my teacher, my son's teacher or my daughter's teacher, that my child has autism? In some cases, I've said yes because it's obvious. And in other cases, I've said no because it's not obvious. Just say, like for instance, I'm thinking of this one sweet girl, and noise might be an issue for her, right? So just say, maybe when there's a fire drill, have her close to you, and that's it. You're not divulging that she has autism or whatever else because they could use that. And I hate to say it, it's not like intentional, but that can be used to direct your child in a direction that they
Yeah.
may not thrive in.
Yeah. Yeah. It may kind of sway the way that they view the child and then therefore the way that they teach them or uh, guide them.
And I'll just tell you another example. One of the young men I worked with who I told the parents don't. Um, One day he was at school and put a paper clip in the keyboard. And she was like, should I tell them he has autism? I said, no. Do you know how many children put paper clips in keyboards? Like, don't use autism as the reason
Mhm.
that your child is being a child, that your boy is being a boy, doing,
Right.
things, being curious about things,
Right.
right? So it's not necessary.
Be conscious about coming into this communication with the teacher in a way that you are feeling centered, you're feeling peaceful, and you're clear thinking, so that when you communicate with, clear intentions, then you're coming from a place of strength, of knowing, because who knows your kid better than you, right? And so you're going to share some of that knowledge, the pertinent knowledge with the teacher, but see that you're in a place of being centered and calm and focused as opposed to being totally stressed out because there's a million things going on. So,
Exactly. Yes, yes, so
right.
important. And because, and actually I had a mom call me the other day. Her daughter's going to school for the first time, first day
Mm.
in pre-K. And she's
Oh,
stressed. Like, I don't know if she cried all day. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And the one advice I gave her was when you drop her off, be relaxed and let her know, because you being relaxed lets her know that you trust the teachers to keep her safe. If
yeah.
you're that energy, she's going to feel it
Yes.
and it's going to become an issue.
When my son was a pre-K, I was not how I was telling you to be right now. I was definitely more, nervous and like my boy, this is the first time ever going somewhere else outside of our home. And we get to the school and I was preparing him. His name is Max. I said, okay, Max, Daddy's going to leave now. And he looked at me. He's like, bye, Daddy. Was like, bye, daddy. Like that's it. Like just he was like totally fine. He was cool. I was the one, right? So sometimes our kids can really handle these things better than we might expect, and maybe better than we can ourselves. So all I'm saying is to be mindful of that and to um, set up the possibility that they are fine, that they are okay, also, which will allow you to be fine and so on. So
Absolutely. Yes, that is so true. I love that other side of the coin.
yes. they know that, and when you are in that peaceful place or that clear thinking, calm place, then obviously that communicates with them non-verbally, and it lets them know that they are okay and that you do trust the teacher. And
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
absolutely. It helps reduce some of that separation anxiety.
This is where you have an opportunity to show up in your strength as a parent, to show up and lead with love rather than struggle, frustration, which I know all of these things are present and this is, this is part of life. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But I think if you see yourself as the rock of your family and you are the one that your children, your partner kind of looks to, you're the one that holds all this together. Again, if you are in a place where you are feeling confident, centered, peaceful, clear thinking, then that kind of radiates out to your family. From that place, you can lead your home life to be a more harmonious place where there's warmth, there's a togetherness, and that will translate to outside of the home as well. That loving togetherness kind of energy that will also build confidence in your child, so that when they are out in the world, that will kind of translate. That kind of becomes who they are in the world, not just at home.
Absolutely. So there's some things that your child's teacher may figure out that you haven't quite figured out yet because children are different in different environments, right? So to create that harmony, if there's something or a way that your child does something successfully at home, maybe share that with with his teacher or her teacher.
Mm,
It may not work perfectly because it's a different environment. However, it's a start. And encourage your child's teacher to also share with you what might work, what works at school, because again, they see a different side of your child and they may be able to give you some information that you can use, even though yes, this is your child that you know better than anybody else and you are the expert with respect to your child. However, having other collaborating with your child's teacher and other professionals is super important because there are things that you might learn. Like I've had parents ask me, how did you get my child to do that, or how did you figure this out about my child? You're stressed a lot of the times, I hate to say, because you're tired, you haven't taken care of yourself, and you may not see everything. You may miss something. So when somebody comes in, there are things that we're trained to notice, things that we're trained to observe that you may not. So when you're working with an expert, when you're working with a teacher, tap into what they see and what they figured out. And then together you can come up with goals. Together you can create strategies to help your child thrive.
for sure. And I think also it has to do with expectations. So when they're at home, what do you expect of them? Maybe based because you know them so well. It's like, oh, they can't do that. Or oh, they should be able to do this. Why are they not? So you might have a certain set of expectations, whereas the teacher doesn't know them like that. And so they're in a very different mindset and different frame. And so their expectations might be different, where they know or they assume that a child can do something that you might not think that they can do, and then they do it in school.
Yes, so true. And there's a study, and actually it's been replicated, the Pygmalion effect. And what it speaks to is that our expectations, whether that be the teacher's expectations or the parents' expectations of our children, determine what they accomplish, determine the level that they aspire to. And what they did, they selected some teachers and students, and they told the teacher, we've selected you to teach these students because you are the best teacher,
Mhm.
you are gifted, they just built them up to be the best. And they told the students that they were selected to be in that class because of their giftedness and their, all the wonderful things about them. At the end of the school year, that classroom excelled. They far exceeded, the
Sure.
school norm. And only to find out, later they were like, yeah, you guys were just randomly selected. There was nothing special to begin with. I mean, everybody's special,
Ooh.
but they didn't use any criteria to determine who to put where. So that just goes to show how important our expectations are.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really important thing. And so if that's what does it for you, then yes, for sure, do that. I would also say that um, do take those opportunities to do those things that you know bring you joy, bring you peace, that kind of refresh you, right? There's a famous saying that you can't pour from an empty cup. Absolutely, I agree. But I also say that you can't do anything when your cup is so full that you can't handle one more thing. So sometimes you do need to empty the cup. Sometimes you need to fill your cup. So whatever that is for you, take those opportunities, make it, schedule them if you can. Do what you need to do to replenish, refuel yourself, take care of your own energies, so that. And if that's a physical thing, if you have a few minutes to go for a walk or whatever you can do physically, great. That's great. Whatever it is for you, I'm saying do those things. It's not that. Um, People don't know what to do for themselves. I don't think so. I think people do know what to do. We have a lot of knowledge. So the saying knowledge is power, right? I'm not sure I agree. I think the power comes in when, it's what do you do with that knowledge? What will you do? What will you do with that knowledge? Like, yeah, I know walking helps me feel better. Did you go for a walk? No, you know. So what will you do with it? Take the action to do those things that bring you peace, that refill or empty your cup as needed. And I think that's a good way to kind of maintain your evenness, is more steady keel, if that's what you're looking for. I also say, is just the last thought here on this, to find ways to let go of what you can't control. Let go of trying to control things that you can't control. That's really powerful because there's a lot of things that go on in life that we can't control. And if you have a process for this or a way that you can do that, which is of course what I tell people do, then it makes such a difference. It really makes a
It's
difference.
Yes, yes. And the thing too with that, when you take care of yourself, you're better. You're a better parent because you're not showing up tired and you're not easily frustrated because you have taken that time for yourself to fill yourself. You're also presenting yourself as a great model to your children about parenting, right? Yes, my children are important to me, love them dearly. However, I'm going to take care of myself as well so that they will also follow that pattern, and then find the joy
Yeah,
in parenting because when you're overworked and stressed, parenting is not fun. Right? Because you're trying to give, like Russ said, from an empty cup. Your cup is empty and you're not refilling it, right? Because the point of having an empty cup is to refill it. And if you haven't refilled it, then you're giving them, like, as my mom would say, the dregs, right? You're not giving them the full strength of who you are, right? You've given it to your job, you've given it to everything and everybody else, and then you come home and what? So fill your cup so you can pour into your children.
that's it. Yes, so well said. Absolutely. Be intentional with what you're putting in your cup.
Yes, having a clear plan is really, really important. One of the things I say, just to start with at home, rehearse what that's going to look like, right? Because for children, having that rehearsal develops comfort. It helps them feel more comfortable because they've been there before, right?
Mm.
So whether it's setting a time that you start having them wake up, go to bed early and wake up early. So now they're practiced so that when school starts, it's not, oh my goodness, everything's slapping them in the face. So rehearse that. What do we do first? So the night before, what do we do? Right? We get our backpacks ready and whatever it is that we need for school. So have that plan because starting at home is going to help you transition better to school because it all starts at home. Everything starts at home. So if you have that plan and if your child is visual, you can take a picture of them. So once they're ready, right? Again, this is during your rehearsal because you don't want to start rehearsal on day one of school. So once you do that, take a picture of your child, backpack in hand, shoes on feet, dress, just all the things, having checked off all the things. You may want to develop a checklist that they use to go through. Okay, I got out of bed, I made my bed, I brushed my teeth, whatever it is, all the things they check, check, check. You can have a picture and the words depending on their level. Um, But pictures really help because they take the stress away. It's like, okay, this is what that looks like, right? So you can have that checklist, and then when they're done, take a picture of them, maybe at the door, because that's the exit, right? Everything's done. Now we leave. I've had breakfast, whatever it is, all the things on that list, and take a picture of them. So then they're like, okay, yes, this is what, and then if they don't look like that, ask them, okay, look at the picture. What do we need to do? Don't ask them, what did you forget? Or what didn't you do? Ask them what needs to be done because we want to always focus on empowering language, right? So to help them with that, because if, it's like, what did you forget? Then they're going to focus on forgetting because, again, the language you use is going to program your child.
I think one thing that could really help with that is to make a decision before the school starts, or now if school started, that it about what kind of year you want to have. Like this is going to be a good year. Well, what do you need to believe? That when, if and when there are issues that come up, we'll handle them. We'll handle them with grace. We'll handle them with clarity, with certainty. Obviously, if you need help, if you're not sure about something, go seek the professionals that can help you with whatever the issue is. But make a decision already, before the whole year plays out, that it is going to be okay. Things are going to be fine. Things will play out as they need to, and just sort of have that knowledge, have that belief, have that thought in mind as things proceed, so that when something does happen, or if and when something happens, you've already decided that you can handle it, and you'll do what you need to do in the situation without the freak out, without being triggered, without. I think if you already go into that knowing that, it's going to help with that, as opposed to not making the decision. Now something happens and it's like, oh, and it just rocks your whole world. It doesn't have to be that way. Even if it has been that way, it doesn't have to now, because now you have a chance to be, you're different. You're different than you were then. You know this. You've made the choice and the decision. It's going to be okay. We'll be fine. And then obviously take the actions, do the things you have to do. It's not just that belief, but it's that belief that helps you stay calm and focused as you're handling whatever, but also take the actions you need to take.
Absolutely. And I want to add something else though. When we're talking about support, have some people in place because too often
Yeah.
our children who are neurodiverse, either the teacher gets overwhelmed or the student gets overwhelmed for whatever reason, and they come and pick them up or come and pick her up. Have somebody that you can speak to, call to say, okay, if I'm not available or when I'm not available, can you pick up Johnny, and let Johnny or Susie know that, Aunt this person or whoever it is going to pick them up when you're not available. The first time you may want to go with this person so that they see, okay, that person's, even if they know them before, they know them already. In that instance, they need to feel super safe. So you want to go with that person the first time, if at all possible.
Right, for sure.
So that way, when the person goes by themselves, then they're already, okay, this is, mommy's cool with this, mom already signed off on
Yeah, it's
that.
planned.
Yes,
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, so important. Obviously, I probably don't have to say it, but obviously the school needs to know that person has permission to get your kid also, right? Right.
Yes, yes. Which is why we want to have these plans in place, right? So when we're planning, the school is involved, everybody's involved. So that way, like Russ said, you're not panicking and you're just implementing the plan.
If part of that support system does include a mentor, do that. I mean, the greatest athletes in the world have coaches, right? I mean, this is a wonderful thing to have. So find those coaches, find those mentors, find those people that can be supportive to you as well. Not just the supportive people to, like, get your kid when they need to. Of course, that's important, but who's your support? Who's helping you? And so
Yeah.
that's so important, is to have that. If you don't have something like that, go find those people, seek them out. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, just this morning, I had a parent send me a message, because I said to her she was stressed about school because her daughter had an accident on the first day. So she called me. It's like, what should I do? Like, what's going on? I said, listen, it's the first day of school. There's a lot of anxiety. She's never been to school before. She's in a room with a lot of children, a lot of, and we were able to talk through it and develop a plan for what school is going to look like this morning. And she actually sent me a message this morning that she implemented it and this is what happened. And she feels so much better. And even though, yes, her daughter cried, however, it was only 5 minutes, before her daughter, she would cry for an
Yeah.
hour. So it was only 5 minutes and things are so much better. So really important. And I have, parents whose children are now in high school and they're like, well, they didn't allow me at the IEP meeting. Well, I wasn't able to physically go to the IEP meeting and she was there. And I said, good, I'm glad you weren't there because your child needs to advocate for herself. So just being able to do that and to let go because, here's mom stressed because she's still doing everything for her child because she has autism. And I had to say to her, stop. She called me a week later.
Mhm.
She's doing everything because mom was afraid, right? We're sometimes so afraid that our
Mhm.
children will react a certain way. However, when you have a plan and when you have strategies, when you have ways to approach that, it makes it so much easier. So she was able to call me back and say, thank you, because now she's allowing her daughter to do things, make mistakes, and self-correct without her being there to coach her and really not and to disempower her because that was really happening. Because mom would be like, oh no, no, let the girl speak for herself.
Yeah. There is a trust in knowing that your child knows what they need for themselves, right? And they will communicate it however they can communicate it. So if they are nonverbal, they'll still communicate, of course, right? So that is so important is to I understand the need, the desire, the want to like try to help them through everything, fix them. They've been depending on you for their whole life so far. Now they're in a different situation. They're in school and you're not there, and so there is it's wonderful to trust sort of um, in your child's own wisdom for themselves that they do know and that will be communicated, of course, with your support. But this is a beautiful time to start allowing them to advocate for themselves to the degree they can.
Absolutely. Because, I always ask parents, what happened if you're not here tomorrow? Well, who nobody's going to do for your child what
Yeah.
you will. So empower them
Yeah.
to do as much as they can, of course, age appropriately. Empower them to do those things. The pre-Kers, they can open their own containers, they can feed themselves, they can do these things, even if they make a mess, then they learn to clean a mess,
Mhm.
right? And as they develop, require them to do more because again, the world is not going to do what you do. So let us prepare them for the world.
So how do we do that? Right. Well, obviously, that's why we're here. Make a decision to have peace and then follow through on that decision. If we don't decide to do something, then how are we going to do it? Or if we're sort of halfway committed, if we kind of like just want to stick our toes in and just kind of see how does this feel, are we going to get that goal that we're looking for? I think it's less likely. But if you're like, I'm doing this, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, but this piece is my number one priority, or whatever the word is for it. I know peace doesn't always resonate with people, but being centered, being calm, being focused, taking the appropriate actions that will give you the best results that you're looking for, that kind of thing. I kind of tend to use the word peace for all that, but words matter. Um, so that make that decision, and then seek out those mentors that can help you. I would love to be one of them. I'm happy to talk with anybody who'd like to explore this further. Certainly happy to do that. And if not me, that's okay. It's fine. It matters, that you find somebody that you resonate with. But certainly make that decision and then do those things that nurture your spirit, that refill your cup in a peaceful way. Learn to get your nurturing in the moment because you can always step away for 5 minutes. How often do we spend a couple of extra minutes in the bathroom? You don't really have to be there. You just need like 5 minutes alone, or you wake up a little bit early to sneak a cup of coffee when nobody's awake yet. It's those kinds of things, but take that to a deeper level because those are good things, but they're not permanent fixes, right? Sometimes you need that in the moment, but sometimes you need a way to go a little bit deeper with it. And if you're interested in going deeper with it, then let's talk because that's where I can help. There are techniques, there are specific strategies that you can learn pretty quickly and get really good at them so that you can get your nurturing in the moment. You can let go of whatever might be triggering you, whatever might be bothering you then, so that you instantly become more centered and focused and clear thinking. Take action on doing those things that bring you peace is what I mean. Don't just kind of stick your toe in and be like, well, if you're not committed to it, it's not going to happen.
Yep. That is so true. And also to for your child, find out what fills them. What do they like doing? How teach them ways to release their stress, right? Teach them ways to relieve their stress, ways that they can um just simple strategies, maybe breathing, whatever it is. But you want to find out, first of all, what are their strengths? What are their interests? And how can you use those strengths and interests to create strategies or develop strategies to help them manage themselves, right? Super important because if they can't, then that's going to be an issue at school, and you're not there to help. I was speaking to a parent the other day, and she's like, "Well, I want them to teach my child how to calm themselves." We want your child to learn how to
Hmm.
calm themselves because the world is not going to always be prepared or care or want to soothe your
Yeah,
child. You want to give your child strategies, teach them ways that they can soothe themselves. And you start with that at home so that when they get out there in the world, they already have those skills and they're not overwhelmed. They're able to say, okay, I'm starting to feel right. They have a sense of their body and they know when they're starting to feel this way, whatever this way is for them, they have a way to relieve that, a way to release it, a way to come back to center and be present and, get involved in the task at hand, whatever it may be. So we want to empower our children with skills and tools because, again, the world's not going to do it for them.
sure.
And you are the expert with respect to your child. So together with an expert in the field of, whatever it is, behavior analysis, child development, I'm just talking about my skills, develop the strategies to help your child be successful, not just in school, in life.
For sure. And of course, how if you would like your child to be able to self-regulate, one of the best ways to do that is for you to be able to do that. Model that, show that to them so that you're actually demonstrating it for them, as well as the benefit of the result of you being regulated and how that communicates on an energetic level, right? Not just the visual demonstration of the way they can see you handle that. Oh, well, mommy's having a tough time. Oh, she's calm now. Like, what does she do? There's going to be an awareness of that on some level. There's going to be an awareness of that. And then the resulting energy of that calmness that they will feel and pick up on. And of course, you're modeling it for them. So that's important. If you want them to do it, then you could also do it.
Absolutely. And children are going to do more what you do than what you tell them to do. So you can
Absolutely.
tell them calm, but if you're not calm, it's not going to
Right.
work.
Yeah. And so again, I just want to mention just quickly that, you know, I talk a lot about peace and being calm and being centered. And again, I think most people do know that. But where the people that I speak with really could use the help is not in me telling them, hey, you gotta find ways to relax, you gotta calm down. Like that's not always so helpful. But what they really need is how do I do that? How do I do that when my life is so busy? How do I do that when I don't know right now how to do it? What does that path look like? Well, you tell me to make a decision to have peace. Okay, fine. Now what? Right. So that's exactly where, again, where I think that we can help you is to learn these techniques. There are things that you can learn so that you can have that. And I wish I could teach you that right now. We can't do that in this format, right? But that is one of the things that we can help with is just um, giving you techniques and strategies, not just for yourself to feel more peaceful and calm, but also on how you can help your child and techniques and strategies for them to use and so on.
Absolutely. And everybody's different, right? So we can give you some general strategies here.
Sure.
However, to be able to tweak that specifically for your situation is going to need a little more. We'll need more information from
Sure.
you that we can give you more information as to how to do that.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for, watching and thank you to the people who sent, who completed the surveys so that we could really help you with that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. I am offering a 45-minute breakthrough parenting solution session. So the link will be attached to this somehow. So reach out to me. It's my gift to you. So let's sit down and talk about how I can specifically help you with your situation.
Awesome. Yes, do that. Take Teresa up on that offer. That is a great offer. That's awesome. And then I as well will offer 15 minutes of what we call a parent wellness assessment, where we're going to look at all these things that we just talked about and come up with a strategy specifically for you in your situation as it relates to your life, so that you can feel more peaceful and more centered. So there'll also be a link for that as well.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. We hope that this has been helpful for you. And our goal is just to give you all the tools that you need to parent with confidence.